All right, everyone. What is artificial intelligence doing? We hear about it all the time. Artificial intelligence is the next big thing. But what's it actually doing? Well, in this case, I mean, I think people know about the general artificial intelligence, agentic, and all that stuff where it's able to do its own thing without being programmed, which is pretty amazing. But what's it actually doing? Well, in the world of data science, one of the things it does is it collects data. Now, my argument is that we will need more data scientists. We will need more people that understand the complexities. We'll need more people that actually can read the data and understand everything artificial intelligence is spitting out. And we need people to actually collect the data, to understand the data, etc. I could go on and on. So I don't think data science is going anywhere, but I do think it's changing. So what does artificial intelligence do with data science and all this stuff? Well, this is a very lamentable data set on suicide. So I've run this before in some of my channels, and it's a great opportunity, although a lamentable one, on seeing what artificial intelligence is supposed to do. So this is from the CDC, and it gives you, there's only 81 columns about, but it gives you an estimate during the years or whatever, however the CDC measures this stuff. So artificial intelligence will go in, and then we make policy choices based on these artificial intelligence estimates. But you have to understand what data science is and how to address policies in order for this artificial intelligence to work. So right here we have gender. So let's just use a simple variable, gender. I want to know if men are unfortunately killing themselves more than women. So artificial intelligence goes, collects the data, and I say, okay, run regression analysis on this to see if there's a statistical relationship. So that's what it does. So with RR Studio, and remember, you have to program if you use Palantir or any of these things, you're still doing the coding because it gives you the choice R Studio, Jupyter, if you watched another video I did. So this is, let's just say, call it lamentable death. Very sad, but it does serve the purpose. So you want to know whether men or women are killing themselves more so than men based on this data. So in this case, we just use the LM function because the estimate, the dependent variable, is still numerical, and the independent variable gender is essentially uh, male or female. And if you saw the other one, we saw gender. It's basically just this nominal variable. So we see estimates right here to the little T tilde because it's regressing on that, and gender. Now you want to put data equals because there might be a lot of gender in other data sets that it'll cross with. Our studio gets funny like that. Make sure your artificial intelligence knows that. And that's it. Then we just said lamentable death, right? LM estimate is what we're measuring. See if gender is an independent variable, causal variable, if there's a relationship. And then you can address the whatever the results are, let the data fall where it may, with real policy. So let's take a look. Lamentable death. I probably already ran it right there. So you do have to understand what's going on. So this is the call, the function, residuals we'll get into later. But if you look at this as saying, wow, you know, 14.9, so let's just say 15 log odds more so than women. Very low standard error, which is the precision of your data if you redo these samples. Remember, we're basing this on a sample, not the whole entire population of the United States where it's taken from. T value is very high. The higher, the better for your model. That means because every t value gives us a p value, and this is significantly low. Remember, the p value is against the null. How likely are you to see this relationship if the null is true? If there's no relationship, I try to reverse that and say the lower, the better for your model, because what happens is that it's saying without the gender variable, you won't see any kinds of patterns. So in this case, since gender male is positive, you're seeing a significant increase of suicide, at least the death, in men. And you see here, this is incredible R squared. I mean, that's about as high as you're ever going to get since one is the highest and it's squared, so you can't even get one. So it's 0.9799. That helps explain how much this variable, male or female, is actually, explaining the data and your residual standard error, how much it doesn't explain the residuals, anything with the word residual or error, the lower the better. So you see residual standard error on these 79 degrees of freedom, that's 81 minus 2, an independent dependent variable, 79. So that's a very low residual standard error, and that means that you're more likely to die from suicide if you're a man than you're a female. And then artificial intelligence can spit this out, and then you have to actually create policy. How do we address this? Right? And some of my astute students, really good, when I do this, they actually said, well, women actually do try to commit suicide, but men are just more likely to succeed. That might be the case too. Very astute comments from my students. So the question is, what does one do with this data? So even though artificial intelligence is intelligent, you have to remember we still need people to understand this. We still need people to read this. Now you can run this with different types of model. We can do a robust version, we can do a GAM model, we can do different models, which I'm not going to discuss here to see if it's true, the results to kind of have a higher confidence level with the results. So that's a very interesting thing, but this is what artificial intelligence is supposed to do. I just did it quicker than artificial intelligence. I guess I'm very intelligent. Probably not. But to see if there is a correlation between these two variables, we establish that there is. Then we have to make policies to address it. But artificial intelligence is not causing data science to go away. With the more use of data, etc., we need people to understand this. How to collect data. Is the data good? Is this clinically important? Opposed to just because there's a statistical relationship, is there a practical value to it? So we have to discuss that. We can go on and on and on, but you get the gist right now of what artificial intelligence, when you run this in, say anything, even Chat GPT or something, is there a relationship between these two variables? Will it use this data? I don't know, but it's very, very important to understand this stuff. So you're not just counting on artificial intelligence, but you have real human intelligence to interpret the results and the policy programs that you will um, suggest. Take care, everyone.